I'm honestly not quite sure how I found this Prowl at Ollie's, brand new, because this is like an ancient figure at this point. But I did, so I'm gonna see if this Prowl holds up after so many years, because, well, we've seen a lot of different Transformers in that time. So here we go, Prowl's out of the box. Wow, talk about a wave of nostalgia that hit me when I opened him up. Very reminiscent of G1 Transformers, something I grew up with, had a lot of hand-me-down Transformers, and this just feels so good in my hand. And the fact that I know that it's a simple transformation makes it all the much better. Now, that's not always a good thing when it comes to Transformers. Sometimes simple is too simple. But here I feel like we're going to be in a sweet spot. When you hold this in your hand, one thing you feel is it's substantial. I believe this is, it's bigger than Deluxe class, so this is probably like Voyager class size Prowl, and it feels good. Like the plastic feels very sturdy, it feels very substantial. This isn't some of the cheaper stuff that I've tried in the past with smaller Transformers. There's a heft here that feels really good, even though if we look at it up close, we can see some of the hallmarks of early Transformers, a lot of void space and things like that. A lot of void space, but there's also, you can tell that there's a lot of hardware here too, a lot of screws, a lot of pins, metal pins and screws that are holding this figure together. And the face sculpt on Prowl here looks phenomenal. I wish there was like a little cutout in the back of his head so that a little bit of light could get through, because I think that would look really great if some of the light would be able to catch from behind and make the eyes appear like they're glowing. We've seen some of that in Transformers before, and we're talking about some of like the model kits with YOLO Park stuff. We know that there are some battery-powered eyes that glow. Again, we're talking about a figure that's years and years old. Things have progressed since then. Let's just get a look. Let's move this around. The articulation for this is surprisingly good for the simple transformation that is going to take place. I wish the head was on a ball joint so that I could look up and down and around, but the fact that we get elbows, the fact that we get some knees, I think this bodes really well for the overall bit of this figure. The toes also articulate to an extent as well, and I think that's going to help us in certain respects. So, freely do these wheels spin in robot mode? Pretty good, but now I think the time is to get Prowl into alt form. He's going to turn into a cop car here, so let's do just that. This should be a very quick transformation. It actually should be pretty intuitive, and let's just try to get those legs together, and we will then bend this into position. This is going extremely quickly. I'm not having any sort of difficulty here. This is reminding me very much of early Transformers, which is a good thing. I think sometimes the transformations get a little too complex now, but I think that's just a preference thing. Let's see, there's some tabs that need to tuck in, and that's it. There it is. That is there, it all locks in, and it looks really good too. I think the alt form of Prowl is just as good, just as sturdy. Like, it doesn't feel like anything's popping out. Any of the folds and bends and transformation pieces are prying open against their will. Solid, a really solid Transformer. How did Ollie's have this to begin with? And B, how do we get more like this? Because I'm a simple guy. I just like my Transformers that, don't take 50 steps to transform. But, I mean, there's exceptions to that, of course. But here we go. I mean, like, this is Prowl. So let's get him out of alt form and get him back into robot form. I'm guessing this is going to go a whole lot faster. And oh my gosh, look at that. I think that took 30 seconds. That was it. Now we have Prowl back in robot form. I'm having a hard time deciding which version I like better. I think for the most part, I'm always going to default to the robot form because I think that's the more exciting, more interesting form to me personally. I mean, also look at the head sculpt is really good here. It feels very reminiscent of those early days of Transformers. So we always have that just nostalgic punch to the gut that for whatever reason, it gets me with Transformers probably more than anything else. Okay, so what do I like about Prowl? What do I not like? And is there anything that I would have changed? Well, for starters, what I really like about him is the overall design, the 6 steps to transform him, the fact that he's just really substantial, the face sculpt looks good. I love how the front bumper of the entire car turns into his chest plate. Very, very nostalgic. This is what you would probably want from that. So if there are similar ones to this, like Prowl out there, please let me know in the comment section, because I would love to maybe track one of these down at some point. This is just a really good example of a substantial Transformers that's just not too complicated. What I don't like about him is that he doesn't come with any accessories. You can put any sort of weapon that fits in his hand. I think it's the standard Voyager class size weapon that you could put in his hand, and I think one was from Soundwave that I put in his hand, and that worked pretty well. But the fact that he doesn't come with anything additional just feels like there could have been just maybe something like a blaster or some kind of sword, or I don't know, like just something extra so that it would have been a more complete package, because otherwise you're just going through your parts bin to give him something to hold. And the one thing that would have changed was maybe just take a little cut out of the back of his head and then have the light come in and make the eyes appear like they're glowing in the right conditions. I think that would have been just a phenomenal little inclusion, a phenomenal little tuck-in for this to make it really stand out. Now, I'm really, like, this era of Transformers, I have very little to next to no idea about. So maybe that was the whole point. Maybe it was just to make some very simple but substantial Transformers at the time. I think that works really well here. Everything just feels solid, and we don't always get that with Transformers nowadays, especially some of the smaller guys. And I think this Voyager-like class. Actually, let me compare him to Prima Prime. I think he's a Voyager class size. So yes, they are roughly the same size. I think Prowl has a little bit of height advantage on him, but not by too much. I think this is well within the same scale, or at least within the realm of possibility. But you can tell, like, just having these next to each other, right? This is like the newest of new Transformers, and here is one that's years old, emulating a very classic Transformers design. You can just see exactly how far Transformers has come. Whereas, I mean, even just look at the legs themselves. Where here on Prowl, we have some void space, which is usually unavoidable. I didn't mean to make a pun. But here on Prima Prime, we have these wheels that tuck in, that give it just some more depth, give it some more visual interest, in a spot that you normally don't look with on Transformers. Really cool to see. I was just trying to compare the sizes here, but to see them next to each other, you can start to pull apart what era of Transformers are some of your favorite. If you like some of the more classic designs, stuff like this is probably going to be your jam. Whereas if you like some of the more intricate, very specialized work that goes into some of the more modern stuff, a Prime no less. Just an interesting gradient to see going from this end here to this end. We'll do one more transformation here, and then we will wrap the video up. I'm just gonna try to speed run this thing. And like, again, it is just fun to have a simplistic Transformer that doesn't require too much thought to getting just right. Because when it came to the original Transformers, they weren't all that complicated. And wow, that is going together really well. There is just a little bit of there. I think that's more of a user error than Transformers error at this point. Yeah, no, I did this backwards. No, not too backwards, but I just did it poorly and incorrectly. There we go. He is now in alt form. This surprising figure. I was not expecting to like this Prowl as much as I did. And in fact, I wasn't quite sure what to expect, because it was one of the windowless box era Transformers that, again, was an interesting moment in time, but I'm glad for a lot of different reasons that we are beyond that. Tell me your thoughts of this Prowl in the comment section below. And if you like our discussion on Transformers, we talk a lot about action figures, pop culture, collectibles, blasters, anything action related, you can stay tuned here at the RyFi channel. And the way to get those videos is to hit that subscribe button. So that's all I know about our Transformers Prowl. Again, not quite sure how we ended up in an Ollie's all these years later, but I am so glad I was able to find him and add him to my collection. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.